19A. I'm going to turn off my video because I don't have a place to put the camera. I've been kicked out of both my offices today. Let's see. Video. All right. So we're 19A, 4 lines from the top. So we just encountered, we're determining, our mission is dealing with takebacks of testimony. And when we believe the witnesses to say, that they signed under duress or they were ineligible for whatever reason when they signed. So we just made a surprising statement that that Rav Chisda says that the reason that Rav Meir says that Rav Meir says that the witnesses can't say that our signatures are invalid in the case of when they say they were forced, they were threatened, and threatened with something that caused them to sign improperly. So he says, you know what? Rav Meir holds that when witnesses say that we were threatened with our lives if we didn't sign, and so we signed, but we say, you know what? You should have given up your life. Okay, obviously a very surprising statement that the Gemara is going to react to right now, but that's why we don't believe them, because like you shouldn't have. That's not an excuse. Okay. Rava says, what if these witnesses come to the court and said, you know what, here's our situation. Reuven asked us to sign this false contract because otherwise he's going to be killed, or otherwise we will be killed. Sorry, otherwise he will kill us, right? So we would tell them, you know what, don't sacrifice your lives over a contract, over signing on a contract. Go ahead and sign it, and then we'll try to figure out our way out of it afterwards. And why would we say to them, go ahead and sign it, and don't sacrifice your lives? Because we said, the only three things that stand in the way of protecting your life are these three cardinal sins of sexual immorality, of killing somebody else, and idol worship. Everything else you should not give up your life for. So if that's what our advice would be to them, if they came to us and asked us what to do, so hashda chasmu. Now that they've gone ahead and essentially followed what that advice would have been, and signed because of the threat to their lives. So now we're going to say, well, why did you sign it? Like, you shouldn't have signed it. Of course, we wouldn't say that. We'd say, of course, you should have protected your lives. So you should be able to take it back. So we have to give a different reason for Rav Meir saying that there's no takebacks. It's in accordance with Rav Huna. That let's say the borrower says, yes, I admit that that this is a contract that I signed. And you don't need to have it certified, right? We don't have to interrogate the witnesses and so on. If the guy who's on the wrong side of the contract admits that this is a valid contract that he signed, and it's valid without even certifying the witnesses, so the witness is saying that we never signed it doesn't have any effect, right? Because the borrower already admitted that it's a good contract. Okay, that makes sense.
He didn't admit it.
I'm sorry?
What if he didn't admit it?
Oh, no. So Rav Meir is only saying that no takebacks in the case where the Lova admitted it. But if the Lova didn't admit it, he would agree with the rabbis that there's only certain circumstances that there are takebacks under certain circumstances.
If the guy admitted it, then, I mean...
Yeah, that's exactly what Rav Meir is saying. And
the question is, there's no chiddush there.
There's no what? Sorry?
There's no chiddush there, because, I mean...
Well, yeah, that's a good question. But, it seems like, we've seen that there is a certain concept of the integrity of the contract and the contract process. So I think that you would say that, the rabbis would say that even though the Lova admits that he signed it, but if the witnesses challenge it, then we have a problem with the kind of the whole process and the whole, like, the status of contracts, right? And that's something of concern for public policy, right? And we've seen in many different situations that, like, the whole idea of having a contract means that the word is out. There's a certain significance assigned to signed documents. So there are cases where, even though the Lova admitted it's his contract, we still want to confirm the validity of the witnesses and so on. Maybe we'll find that the witnesses are no good and we'll invalidate them for future contracts, or I don't know exactly what the concern is, but I think it has to do with the integrity of the process. Does that kind of answer the question?
Not really, because
Not really. Okay.
if
Uh-huh.
if if the guy admitted it, you wouldn't even need a star.
Um,
You know,
well, yeah, you
it was
wouldn't
just
even need
a
a star
normal
at all.
agreement. There's
Well, what he's admitting to is, yes, this is, like, he didn't admit that there was a loan, but when the Malva produced the document, he had to admit, yeah, I signed
okay.
this document.
That's different. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. I don't think I fully answered it, but I kind of have an idea that
I
that's
got it.
that's part of the answer. Gufa. So we said before, Amar Reuven Marab. If you have a Loba who admits that he wrote the document, then you don't have to certify the witnesses. What are you trying to trick us for? Like, you're saying that this is as a blanket statement, but we've just seen that this is subject to dispute between the rabbis and Reb Meir. Israel Reb Meir, Reb Meir. If you hold like Reb Meir, that you don't have to certify the documents, so say so, but don't try to tell us that this is a universal opinion. Amalei, so the answer is okay, fine. What do you hold about it? Amalei, Kiyasu Lakaman Ladina, when they come to, when people come to us with documents that haven't yet been certified, go certify them first. In other words, yes, I always say that you have to certify the documents. Okay, so there, we didn't really, this is kind of an indirect conversation, but we see that Rav Nachman feels that you always have to certify the documents. And again, this probably has to do, as I said before, I think, with the integrity of the process and making sure that there's no questions raised about, when and when not to certify documents. They always have to be certified. I'm going to read them around. Excuse me. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Omer Shtar Amana." What if someone says that, you know what? Here's a contract about a loan, but you know why I wrote this loan? I was trying to trick somebody. Okay, I didn't really borrow, or I didn't really lend money. I didn't really have money owing to me. Just a second, Lily. Don't drop the balls. No, excuse me. Sorry, Lily. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to go inside now. Yeah. Okay. Hello. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Still there? You still there? Okay. So, if you have a star amana, which is, I write a document saying that I have money due to me, right? That you borrowed money from me and you owe me money. And the reason I'm doing that is not because it's true. I want to fatten up my balance sheet. I want to demonstrate to somebody else that I have assets so that he will lend me money. Okay, so the contract is false, basically. So what if someone says that, and why would you write that document for me? Because you trust me, right? That you know that I'm not going to try to collect the loan. It's just that we're falsifying my situation here, and that's why you signed it. And now I come and say, hey, you owe me the money, right? So, and you say, wait a minute, we only, this was just a joke, right? I don't really owe you the money. I just agreed to this document because I wanted to help you improve your balance sheet. Um, so Ha'omer Sharman, who's that in somebody who says that, we don't believe. Okay, so now the Kamarman, who says that? Yilema the Kamarlova, the borrower said that. So in our case, you, Hanan, said that, oh, wait a minute, I only agreed to that contract because it wasn't true. Shita, obviously, like, Kol Kamine, why would we believe you, right? You signed the document that you borrowed money, and then you say, no, I never borrowed the money. Like, that's on you. You're an idiot. We're definitely gonna find you, find that you owe the money. The other come are Malva. So what if I say that? I say, you know what? It's like, don't worry about this contract. I never lent or Hanan never lent me any money. I never lent Hanan any money. It was all just a case of document fraud. So then Tavel Bracha. Like, so that means I'm not demanding the money. That I'm admitting to my wrongdoing, right? I'm not if I'm saying that this was a sharamana, that there was no money owing here. So I'm kind of owning up to it. So I'm not demanding the money from you. So what's the problem? Ella de Camara. So we must be talking about when the witnesses to the document said, yes, we witnessed this document, but we know that it was just a false. There wasn't really a transaction. So now let's ask this: what if we can independently verify their signatures, right? So of course we don't believe them because verifying the signatures is like witnesses to the witnesses. So we don't believe them about that there was subterfuge here. Their witnesses, their signatures have been proven to be valid, so we rely on them, and it's a real document. What if we can't verify their signatures? So they should be believed, because it's hapesha aser hapesha hitir, right? That it's non-verified signatures, right? They said that the loan took place, and now they're saying it didn't really take place. So we should believe them the second time on the principle that it was their statement in the first place that they're now denying, and not independently verified. So now we have several answers. Amarava, the Olam of Kamarlava. Actually, we're talking about where the borrower said that it wasn't a real transaction. And we're going according to Rav Huna, who said, "This is what we said before. If you if you admit that you agreed to this contract, then you don't need to certify the witnesses. So here also the lender can collect on the basis of this contract without verifying the signatures. Abai says I can solve it in a different way, where the lender, the purported lender, admits that it was a sharamana, that it was just a fake document. You know why we don't believe him? Because he has debts to other people, right? So it's not just between me and you, Hanan. I owe David money. Okay, now David can come collect directly from you because you owe me money. So it's affecting somebody else. So it could Rav Nosson, according to the principle of Nosson, the Tanya, we have a brisa. Rav Nosson Omer, Minayin Lenosha v'chavero mana v'chavero v'chavero. What if A owes B money and B owes C money? Then you can skip B and you can just collect directly from A and give to C. I'm sorry. Talmud and the proof text is you give it to the one to whom you're guilty of. In that case, we're talking about theft, but basically, you follow the chain to the one that ultimately has the last link in the chain of who owes who money, and then you go directly to him. Okay, so that's where that's how you can explain where excuse me, where the borrower can, even though he's saying this was not a real document, but he's putting somebody else out. He's putting out his creditor, so we don't believe. Rav Ashi has a third answer. I can explain it where it's the witnesses who say that it was a shtaramana, that it was a false document. In the case where there's no independent verification of their signatures, you're asking, well, why don't we believe them? Here we rely on Rav Kahana, who said, you're not allowed to keep such a document in your house. verse says in, what is this, initially in Eo, don't keep evil in your house or dishonesty in your house. And this is a dishonest document. Rav Sheshes Breder Avidi. Rav Sheshes says Shmami. We read Rav Kana. This shows us Eidim Shamar Amano Yuzvarenu Einem Manim. And this is referring exactly to our case. Witnesses who said that we just, we faked this document, like we signed this document because we knew that it was just a paper, a paper document that wasn't going to be collected. We don't believe them. My time, why came with Diablo? Because this is dishonest. And people wouldn't sign. Like we assume that even though the witnesses are coming now and saying, yeah, we signed that, but we're now admitting that it was, or we're now testifying that it was not real. They wouldn't have signed it. Like, people don't sign these things because it's dishonest. So we don't believe
the
them.
definition of a shtar amana? That's what the term is?
Yeah, shtar amana is when we produce a document showing that that I owe you money to improve your balance sheet, right? So even though I owe you $1 million on paper, I'm never going to pay it. We have an understanding that this is just that this is just to fake out somebody else who wants to see that I have assets of accounts payable of $1 million.
This is what corporations do all the time, right? To change the sheets.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
They set up these corporations or something, and they put the debts.
Yeah, I guess that would be similar. Yeah, exactly. That does sound similar. Yeah.
We don't own the debts. The debts are paid by this other entity, which or something which they set up.
Right. I mean, here the case is a little more simple, where we're saying, yeah, this was never a valid. This document was only written on the understanding between the two of us, between the two parties, that we're never going to act on it. Right? That it's not true. Okay, but we're just producing the document to fake out somebody else.
But on its face, it looks good, though.
On its face, it looks good. Exactly. And then now somebody's coming and saying, you know what, this was just a big joke. Like, the money never changed hands. Nobody owes anybody money. The document is a joke. So now, who said that is what we discussed, right? Is it the purported borrower, the purported lender, or the purported witnesses? So we have ways to understand it in each of those three ways. That whoever the statement could be referring to any of those people coming and claiming that this is a fake document, and we would not believe them.
But that's a dangerous thing, because
absolutely.
If you have this shot there, let's say the guy dies, and then the son is trying to collect, and he doesn't know that it's a fake thing, so then he's trying to collect on it, and the guy, the debtor says, well, this was just a fake thing. How's, I don't know, it's a fake thing. It looks real to me, right?
Yeah, it's a very reckless thing to do, absolutely. But, there's all kinds of situations you can imagine in which someone would go ahead and do that, either because he feels indebted or under threat, or the money doesn't mean anything to him right now, or you can imagine all kinds of situations where somebody might participate in this charade.
Okay, this is the first time we had this idea in the Messiah?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Amana.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Amana means
where it comes from?
Looks like, yeah, like it means I trust you. I'm trusting you not to try to collect. Emunah is faith, right?
Right. Okay.
So I'm trusting you that you're not gonna act on this fake document.
That's so funny. That's called kind of like a trustworthy document.
Yeah, but it's exactly the opposite of a trustworthy document. Yeah. Very good. Rabbi Shimon Levi says, following up on that theme, if when you have a contract that I owe you money, once it's paid off, you should destroy the document so that it can't be reused to say, hey, you still owe me money, and deny that it was paid off. So you can't. So if you still have this this contract that is already paid, right? So it's not really valid anymore. You can't keep such a document. Same reason, because it's dishonest, right? Or it could be used for dishonest purposes. In other words, to try and collect again. But in the West, they said the name of Rav. There's another verse that discourages you from keeping dishonest things. If you have evil in your hand, keep it away from you. This is refers to shtar mana, which we've been talking about, and the shtar pasim, which our school translates here as a document written on persuasion. Um,
What is that?
so it's very similar. It's maybe it's not directly connected to your balance sheet, right? To like being able to borrow money from somebody else. Like if I have $1 million in accounts payable coming to me, then the bank will lend me money, right? Or a factoring company will lend me money. That's a shtar mana. Shtar pasim appears to be if you know nobody's going to marry my daughter if they know I'm really broke. Okay, but if I make it look like I have money coming to me, then they'll marry my daughter. So it's not directly connected to the loan, the money itself, but it's some other way of, some other reason to present yourself as someone with means when you don't really have means. So same idea.
It's
That's
kind
the
of
star posse.
like what Trump did or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Um, so that's the beginning of that verse. Keep away, keep if you have something bad in your hand, keep it away from you. The end of the verse, which we referred to before, don't keep something dishonest in your house. That's talking about a document that's already paid up. You shouldn't keep it around lest you be tempted or somebody else try to use it to collect the second time, even though it's already paid up. Now, the one that says the verse is talking about a paid up document, kol shekein shtar amana. So certainly a shtar amana, a document written on faith, you certainly couldn't keep because it's really false. Like at least the paid up document, at least there really was a loan to begin with, right? So it was based on truth. The document itself is not false. The shtar amana, if you can't even keep that, you certainly can't keep the shtar amana because that's totally made up from whole cloth. But if you're saying the verse refers to the Sharamana, which is totally made up, it's okay to keep a paid up document in your hand. Why? What use could that be? Oh, let's say we go to the sofer, right? These documents were maybe no, it has to be like people were illiterate or they didn't write properly or whatever. But we always went to a sofer to write these documents. Now we go to the sofer, you write the document, and then the loba who's on the hook for the sofer's fee says, "Oh, I don't have any money." It's like I for whatever reason he didn't pay the sofer, so the malva can keep the document until the loba. Let's say the malva pays the fee of the sofer. The loba still owes the money. Now he owes it to the loba, the document writing fee. So the malva keeps the lender keeps the document until he's fully paid up, not just the loan, which everybody agrees has been paid up, but but he's keeping the document around until the borrower pays him back for the sofer's fee. Okay, moving on. Amar Rav Nachman says, "Edim Sham Ramana use very." Witnesses say this was a ashtar amana. This was a fake document. Ain't that money? We don't believe them. But modah use very. If they say that we signed the document. We know, however, that it wasn't true because the the borrower was being forced to sign the document. He had a gun to his head. Okay, so we're like we signed off on this document, but we know that it wasn't really true because there was a threat against the lover. That's why he agreed to it. Ain't we still don't believe them. Okay, we're going to analyze this a little further. Mar Baravashi says, Amana is very new ain't that money. We don't believe them in the case of Shtar Amana. Modoyu is very new money. But the second case where they say that we saw that we only signed because there was force involved, because there was a threat involved. So and it doesn't have to be a threat, by the way. It's like like the for whatever reason the borrower told us in advance that I'm going to have to sign this document or issue this document, but it's not really true. You have to sign it anyway. Best way to understand it really is a threat. So my tama, why? I need to because if the star mana, there's no excuse for writing such a thing, right? There's no possible good reason to write a star mana. It's clearly a false document from beginning to end. But the case where you're being forced, it's like, okay, I'm going to sign this document if I'm afraid the loan shark is going to kill you if we don't sign the document, right? And we'll deal with the consequences after. But first, we have to deal with the problem at hand, which is the threat that's being made to you.
It seems like this whole issue about like witnesses saying that we signed it under duress is a red herring, because like, I mean, how often does like, that's like not a very, common case, right? I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like,
Well,
you,
that may be why it's not really dealt with in the Mishnah as much as in the Gemara. Like the Mishnah lays out the principles for basic contract law, but then the Gemara says, "Well, what about this and what about that?" You have all these kind of
right,
crazy situations.
seems like it's a good excuse to just say, well, uh, we, it's like a collusion between the debtor and the guy's trying to collect his loan, and then the guy says, well, you made us sign it or something like that. It's like a collusion between the debtor and the witnesses to try to like get the guy out of his loan or something, something like, because like,
Mm-hmm.
it's, it seems like
Yeah.
sign or your life, I mean, come on. Usually if it's like your money or your life, like if I'm gonna like,
Mm,
you know what I mean? I don't,
yeah.
it's, it seems like,
Yeah. It does seem a little
it seems
odd.
a little far-fetched, the whole claim that we had to sign unless, or else the guy was gonna kill us or something,
Yeah.
or we were fearful for our safety,
Well, on the other hand, it's hard to anticipate all these situations. Like before we started discussing Star Amana, it hadn't occurred to you, right? That we would have to
Oh,
deal
yeah,
with it. Like so there could be all kinds of crazy
people do that more
circumstances.
often, where they create phony documents, for like, I don't know. The guy wants to marry off his daughter or something like that. So, he wants to show that he has more money than he does because otherwise the guy, the bride's father is going to back out of the deal or something like that. Or no,
Mm-hmm.
the other way around. The bride has to like have the money. So, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I hear what you're saying.
We're in the middle of 19B. We started at 7:45.
Yeah. Sorry if you didn't get that message. Is Stan on there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm here.
we
Oh
started
yeah. Sorry.
at 5.
Did you
We're
start at
going in for
7?
the
I thought we
summer.
were starting at 8:15. That's why I'm
Ah,
late.
I'm
No,
so
no, no,
sorry that
no,
you
no.
didn't get the message,
No, I didn't get
David.
the message, but
So we're starting at 7:45 every day now.
Yeah, at least through the summer.
Okay,
okay,
that's
gotcha.
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So we're in 19b, about the middle of the page. Bamine Rava Merav Nachman. And we're talking about, just to catch you up, we're talking about situations in which a contract is invalid, or can it be deemed invalid because of the claim that it wasn't a real contract, right? So we've been dealing mostly with something called a shtar amana, which means that I'm only I'm falsifying this loan document to show that I have money coming to me, that I have accounts payable, so to improve my balance sheet and to be able to borrow money from somebody else and show that I have assets, which really don't exist because the contract was understood between us, between the borrower and the lender, to never be, payable, or that it never happened. Okay, so can the witnesses or the people involved say, "Oh, this was never a real contract," and that's what we're discussing. Well, I mean, Rav asked Rav, Tanai Hayudvarinu. What if they say, yeah, we signed this contract. This was a valid loan was made, but there was a condition. In other words, it's not written in the contract, but the understanding was that we signed it on the understanding that I'm only lending you the money if you fulfill some condition. Like, if you marry my daughter, if your son marries my daughter, or
No,
I don't know
it
what.
has to be in a contract. You can't do that.
No. That's what we're saying, that
No,
They
I
say,
understand.
yes,
That
these
is,
are our signatures. We signed this, but
no,
not what's between the lines. What's not written in the paper is
I know,
that.
I understand, but I don't think you should be able to do
Oh
that.
yeah. Okay. Um,
I think
so yeah. So the Gemara is going to
that's
analyze
easy
that.
out.
Yes, it seems like, and why? Because if these are real signatures and the document that doesn't contain the condition, then you're making it up, right? Like you have to prove.
If we allowed that, then nobody could ever collect on the.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because then,
Okay, so Gemara is going to go through the motions here.
oh, it was on condition that, it rained on Tuesday or something,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the Gemara will get there, but we're going to go through the motions here. So here is the analysis. So we just said that Rav Nachman said that if the witnesses said that that we signed, but we know it was that we signed, but we know it wasn't a real contract, we don't believe them to say that. Okay. So Moldova Mana Hainu Tamid Akri Leishara. Do we say that we don't believe them in that case, where they say that the contract was not a real contract? So there, it's like they're actually like saying that this was never a good contract at all, right? So, and we don't believe them for that. Bahai Name Kakari Lishtara. And this case too, by saying there was a condition that's not specified and it was never fulfilled. Again, they're like canceling the document. They're trying to cancel the document, and we don't allow that. Or maybe we'll say that the condition is like a separate thing, like the document is the document. It's a valid document, except there's this outside condition. It's a little torture. I know, Hanan, you're not going to like this, but he's going to answer Amalei, when they come to court to adjudicate the case. Yeah, if we'll tell them go and do the conditions, and then we will rule in your favor. So actually, we do believe the witnesses. So I know Hanan's not going to like this. I don't really like this that much either.
What if the condition is like not something they can do? Like the condition was,
like outside of the power of the
right. It was going to be it was going to be a rainy season, so therefore that's why but if it was not going to be a rainy season, then therefore I'm not selling my land or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it appears, you have a good point. It appears that we're talking about something that is within the power of the party, of the borrower, to do, not something, an external thing that he has no control over. So maybe it appears that that's what we're talking about. That's a good point.
This is where both sides agree that there was a condition, or just
no. Well, actually, this is the witnesses. This is the witnesses saying this, right? That there was a condition. So we're in the process of trying to certify the witnesses on the document. Yeah, so it's unclear. Like, what do the actual parties say about it?
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay, another case. Aid Omer Tanai, Aid Omer Enatanai. What if the witnesses dispute each other, right? One says there was an external condition and the other says there wasn't. They're both talking about a valid document. It doesn't have a condition. So one of them is saying there was a condition, so we don't believe him, because the other one is like 1 versus 1. He said, she said. So there's no reason to invalidate the contract. We have what appears to be a valid contract with valid signatures. The fact that one witness says that there was a condition, we don't believe him, because one witness is not believed against a valid contract. Yeshua asked Rabbi Yeshua. Sorry, 1 second, please. Sorry. Okay. Muscular is no British sure. If that's so, I feel name. So now, even if both of them say that there's a condition, you should still say it's no good. Why? Because they're both testifying against valid signatures. And valid certified signatures are considered as good as witnesses. So why would we believe these latter, the same witnesses, but they're like they're like later witnesses coming to say that our signatures are not valid? We wouldn't believe them. We don't usually believe, once we've accepted testimony from two witnesses, we don't usually believe other witnesses. So we have to say that they're actually refuting or denying their own testimony. So in that case, when witnesses come, if two witnesses come and say, the testimony that was already accepted by two other people is no good, we don't accept that. Once we've certified the testimony, it stands. But if they come and talk about themselves, it's a different story. So that we can accept. All right, so that's an important principle. I think we've seen already that we don't accept once testimony has been certified and accepted, then we don't accept somebody else to come and deny it. Okay, and tomorrow we will see. Should we go into it? Yeah, I guess we'll stop here. This is a good place to stop. Tomorrow we'll see how there is an exception to this rule of not accepting witnesses who come to deny or invalidate previously certified testimony. And as a spoiler hint, that has to do with that is similar to the case of Edim Zomim, where there's a special case where if generally I can't invalidate your testimony if it's valid, but if it follows the rules of validity. But if I say you can't have given that testimony because you were with me in a different place at the time that you say you were, that you're testifying to somebody, that's called Edim Zomim, and that we do believe to invalidate the first witnesses. It's unclear why, but that's definitely the rule that the Gemara derives from verses in the Torah. And so we're going to discuss, similar cases in the case of denying one's or invalidating one's own testimony in the case of contracts. Okay. So we will call it here for today.
7:45, right?
7:45 tomorrow, and the rest of the summer.
And the rest of the summer. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Doug.
Bye.
See you then. Thank you.